Welcome to my channel, everyone. Please subscribe before we get started here. I'm going to do a spoiler-free book review on Where The Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. In this book, we are introduced to the Clark family. The Clark family are swamp people. They live in the swampland, the marshland, off the coast of North Carolina in the 1950s. Our primary character here is Kaya. Kaya Clark is born into this lifestyle of living in a shack in the marsh with an abusive father, her mother, and a few siblings. A very troubling childhood and life in general has Kaya Clark. Throughout this novel, we are going on a life adventure with Kaya, and we're having a series of relationships with various different people, some of them swamp people, and some of them with the people that live in a nearby small town. Kaya is almost seen as kind of like a Frankenstein by some of the people in the nearby town throughout this book. So that gives you an idea of some of the persecution she's experienced throughout her life. Kaya happens to be a very intelligent and extremely beautiful young woman. So she attracts some attention to herself, and we go on a series of relationships with a young man named Tate, who she has a romance with in this book. It's one of the best parts of this book. And she also has some kind of friends in the nearby town that help her out. And it's just a very dynamic book, the turmoil that Kaya experiences throughout her life. She has a lot of trials and tribulations in this novel. And it also happens in this novel that there's a murder that takes place. And I won't even go into that. This book is very believable. The characters in this book are very real and viable and believable. And they're very relatable. They're very genuine here, the characters that are created, especially Kaya. The reader goes on to, or at least I did, to empathize with Kaya throughout this book. You know, I was really on her side, wondering what was going to happen to this young woman. She's almost like a biologist out in the marshland. She knows all about the different species of animals and the rocks and the shells and the trees and the different soils and everything like that. So it's really an interesting dynamic in this book that such a talented and beautiful woman is born into these really unusual and unfortunate circumstances in life. And it really just generates a lot of suspense in this book. I was really curious throughout this book. Although it's not necessarily a suspense novel, it's more of a drama. I found myself really curious about what was going to happen in this book with this woman. Surprisingly, this is the author's first book. She's a biologist, and one of the themes in this book is the biology, the life in the marsh. And it's just really surprising to me that this woman has written a book for her debut novel. Although she has written a few non-fictional pieces, this is her debut novel. And I know that it's going to go on to be one of the best sellers of the current age. This is one of the best books that I have ever read. Just the genuine feeling to these people and the really troubling things that happen in this book are so very vivid is the landscape that we're experiencing this novel in. And I just thought it was a great book. I give it a 5-star review. I hope this author puts out another book. You know, I don't see any sequels with this one. This is a standalone novel here, but I would like to see her write another book. This book, Where The Crawdads Sing, actually has a Goodreads rating that's like astronomical. It's like 4.5 or even more on Goodreads. This is a really once in a great while kind of book, if you know what I mean. This book will stand up as one of the best novels ever written, I believe. It was just such a genuine novel. I can't think of what could have made this novel any better. It's just a really good novel, and I can't even think of anything that I have to complain about this novel. It just seemed like a well-rounded, brilliant, viable, and relatable, and genuine, and believable book. It's one of the best books that I've ever read. I give it a 5-star review. Where The Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I give it a 5-star review, and I definitely recommend it. And please subscribe if you made it this far.